One thing I think is always overlooked in Team Fortress 2 is stock weapons. Despite stock being the meta primary on most classes, it is almost always the worst melee weapon, so I thought I would go through the classes to see if any of them would be viable or just simply not bad. Starting with the Scout. The Scout has the scattergun, pistol, and bat. The scattergun is one of the best weapons in the game, giving Scout a solid way to deal damage without any penalties like his other primaries, and the only one without a clip size penalty, with a potential of 105 damage, giving Scouts the ability of actually putting in some good damage. The pistol is really just a worse pretty boy's pocket pistol, but the 3 extra shots in a clip can help, most importantly when breaking engineers' buildings, though it has some solid competition with the Mad Milk, Winger, Flying Guillotine, and hell, even the Criticola. The bat is... don't use it. The Boston Basher, when used correctly, is a straight upgrade. The Rap Assassin gives you a projectile, and the Atomizer gives an extra jump. Most melees are used for utility, and the bat has none. It can only be used for damage, which is why most stock weapons are bad, but the bat is the worst of a bad lot. The Soldier probably has the best stock primary weapon in the game, the Rocket Launcher. The Rocket Launcher is not only versatile, but is straight up just powerful, giving you rocket jumping, splash damage, and high DPS, being able to put out 112 damage in one shot. Having it all combined really makes the weapon pretty clearly the best in the game. The shotgun is a solid choice, really only good for countering pyros, and it can be a solid weapon to fall back on if your primary runs out of ammo in an active fight. Though still not the best, probably being beaten out by the gunboats. The shovel is bad. Don't use it, especially because Soldier has some other good choices for melee, like the disciplinary action or escape plan, giving mobility to the second slowest class without the cost of HP, or the Market Gardener if you're trying to have a good time. The Pyro has the Flamethrower. It is probably the best primary, though I think it is one of the most debatable. The stock Flamethrower gives the most air blasts, but it's also a solid weapon to start attacking with when needed to. It is not the best for comboing or doing max damage, but it is a good generalist weapon. The shotgun for Pyro is a good weapon for comboing, though not as flashy as something like the flare gun, and you lose the added mobility that the detonator or thermal thruster could give, though it will still give you a huge advantage in Pyro duels. The Fire Axe is the only true straight downgrade of a weapon, quite literally being a worse third degree, and even then the third degree isn't the best choice. I'd recommend the Power Jack for general use, the Extinguisher for combos, and the Back Scratcher for extra healing, because medics are a myth in casual. The Demo has the best set of stock weapons with all being meta. The Grenade Launcher is a consistent primary while having some debatably better side grades, though they are all pretty equal, like the Iron Bomber having more stationary rollers or the Loose Cannon having higher potential burst damage. The stock Sticky Bomb Launcher is pretty easily the best choice, with his other secondaries being overly specialized or being a shield, which, while all still being good, isn't the best choice in most fights. His bottle is actually meta, despite it being the same as all the other classes other than Scout and Spy, with some debatably better melees, though the bottle is the best in general use, especially because it gives an option to demo when being faced off head to head. Absolutely! The Heavy has serious competition between the stock minigun and the Tomislav. While both being the best options, I'd recommend the Tomislav on offense because of its faster rev time, and the minigun on defense because of its better damage. The shotgun is mostly used for Fat Scout. There's no real reason to use it, with the lunchbox items being far better for the Heavy and the family business just generally being better. The Fists are one of the worst weapons in the game. Don't use them. While doing 65 damage like the bottle, you're a Heavy, moving slow, trying to get close to enemies, and even then, Heavy has some of the best upgrades of melees, like the Gloves of Running Urgently, Killing Gloves of Boxing, and the Fists of Steel. The Engineer has the Shotgun, a decent weapon if you want to play somewhat aggressive and not have your sentry get all the kills for you, though is a solid side grade to the Frontier Justice and Widowmaker, and the Rescue Ranger is a solid change to play a more defensive playstyle. The pistol is really only good if you want to play offensively. The Engineer's other secondaries are some of the best weapons in the game, being the Short Circuit and especially the Wrangler, with the Wrangler being overpowered on defense and the Short Circuit being good on both. Engineer's Wrench, while not being a bad choice, is just generally outclassed by things like the Southern Hospitality being a better weapon, Jag having the ability to build faster, and the Eureka Effect's utility and flanking potential. The Medic's Syringe Gun is the worst primary in the game, though for good reason, considering he's meant to be bad in 1v1s, and because the secondary is what makes him Medic. And the other unlocks for his primary are far better, giving him more survivability with the Blutslager, faster speed with the Overdose, and a new powerful healing tool with the Crusader's Crossbow. The Medigun is also probably the best weapon in the game, though in this case, support tool. The Medigun is good for helping the team defend, push, and overall keeping the fight going. The other Mediguns can sometimes do better, like the Vaccinator losing its overwhelming push potential, but increases overall defense by a lot. The Kritzkrieg makes you a huge glass cannon of a weapon, potentially winning a game just because of one push. The Bone Saw is also bad, don't use it. All of his other melees are better, the Amputator, Vitasaw, Solemn Vow, and especially the Ubersaw, having the potential of completely flipping a match, with the only downside of swinging 20% slower. The Sniper Rifle is a solid choice, having the ability to do 150 damage is a hard thing to pass up, though some of his other sniper rifles have higher potential, like the Bizarre Bargain, letting the shots potentially charge up faster, or the Hitman's Heatmaker, letting you potentially go on huge streaks. The SMG is fine, though Sniper has some of the worst secondaries. You can use it if you want. Other than the SMG, I'd recommend the Cozy Camper or the Girardi. The Kukri is the best melee for Sniper, only really competing with the Bushwhacker, which combos well with Girardi and the Cleaner's Carbine. Spy's Revolver is fine, having consistent damage, though is beaten out by all his other primaries in most cases, like the L'Etranger giving more cloak, the Diamondback giving crits, and even the Ambassador, though that one needs practice. Spy's Knife is also just okay. Its main upside is having no downside, because all of his knives have pretty big downsides, like the Your Eternal Reward taking away cloak time, the Big Earner and Kunai taking health, and the Spycicle making it so at times you cannot use the knife at all. All of the knives are solid though. Use the Sapper. Don't use the Red Tape. While the Red Tape Recorder can be better in rare scenarios, it is almost never better. Stock is generally the best option. Spy's Stock Watch is probably the best option, though his other watch options are also very solid, with the Cloak and Dagger giving Spy a slower but sneakier way of killing enemies, and the Dead Ringer giving Spy a more aggressive playstyle. So, what do you think of my ideas on stock? I'm sure some people would disagree with some things, but hey, that's fine. Well, tell me what you thought of the video if you watched this far. Thanks for watching. Generic outro. Wow!